Okay, so breaking news. We just ended our episode here where we talked about the possibility that the Rams need to go and trade one of their first round picks for a premier player. And we pointed to the secondary being the main position that should be attacked. Billy brought up this player. We brought up this player. We've talked about him before, and it just literally happened. So, breaking news from Adam Schefter: the Rams and the Chiefs are working on a deal to send Trent McDuffie to the Rams for the number 29 overall pick. Wow.
They got it done. They heard us. They heard the echo wave and they were like, hey, I like the sound of that. I mean, that's great for the 29th pick. You know, they're not even after that 13th one. I think that that's them sorted now.
No, yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, we just talked about the Rams needed a cornerback, whether they're going to do that free agency or the draft. They did it. They did it. They gave up their 29th pick for an all-pro like Trent McDuffie. This is exactly what they needed. Now it's all about the number 13 overall pick, right? What are they going to do? Are they going to go wide receiver? Are they going to go? I mean, does that take away the pressing need for number 13 at cornerback? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, right? I mean, there's a couple mocks out there that have the Rams selecting a cornerback when they did have the number 29 pick, cornerback and cornerback with
Yeah.
that, right? So now I feel like they could kind of tread away from that a little bit and maybe get another elite pass catcher. I don't know, but this is really good news for the Rams. They needed that, they wanted that, and now they have it.
Yeah, and a
Um,
long-term deal too. So
yeah.
keeping
So
him around.
I will say this. I will play devil's advocate for a moment here. I still don't think that you have enough with Trent McDuffie. You have enough if, like we just brought up earlier, you keep
Mm.
Kobe Durant, you keep Roger McCreary, you have Trent McDuffie. If those three things are happening, absolutely number 13, you go pass catcher, you go offensive lineman, in my opinion. I think that's where you go. But right now, I still don't think they have enough. Like Trent McDuffie, is he that lockdown corner? Ooh, he had a rough year. He didn't post the greatest stats, but um,
The Chiefs had a rough year.
yeah, he had a knee injury, so obviously you look at that, and he that plays a factor. But he is an All-Pro cornerback, so this is huge. Is he worth that number 29 pick? I don't know. I'm kind of, but it's all good. It says a package including that, so there's a chance that they're probably going to be sending like a maybe a fifth round, and then they're going to get something back in return. We don't know yet. The full details haven't been released, but as it stands right now, the Rams have made a huge move to upgrade their secondary.
That's what they needed to do.
Oh, here it goes. Number 29, fifth
Yeah.
round and a sixth round, and a 2027 third round for McDuffie. Wow.
That's a
Oh,
spenny trade right
That
there.
is a lot.
wow.
That's a lot of
Sick.
cap. I mean, this is the thing with when you're that solid, you're that good year after year, you're stacked in the coaching room, you're stacked around, mostly in the rest of the room,
Yeah.
might they regret that when Matthew Stafford's
This is
retiring? I don't know.
yeah, this
This
kind of seems
is
like F them
this,
pick 2.0. You
yeah,
know,
that's a lot though, if I'm being
it's a lot.
honest. Like
Yeah.
the first round, then a fifth and sixth in this draft, and then third round in 2027. That's kind
You
of a
don't know where you're
lot.
going to be 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he had a rough season, but 61% career, 61% completion percentage, 89.4 passer rating. It's not bad. He gave up 13 touchdowns, but those can, we can look at those. Was it a situation where it was blown coverage, yada yada, all that. There's a lot of variables with that, but 5.5 sacks, 246 tackles. He's got just three interceptions. I don't know. I mean, I'm just being the stats guy right now. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's not a great cornerback. And obviously coming to the Rams, and you know, Chris Shula is going to be working with him. So anyway, it's done.
That's
Like,
done.
beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Like they may see Trent McDuffie as this guy who clearly they they value him pretty high, right? And if only the Rams were slightly better in the secondary, we might call them the Super Bowl champions, right? So maybe a guy like Trent McDuffie, yes, it's a lot without a doubt. But if you win it all, that really doesn't matter, right? Like yeah, the Rams gave up those two first round picks for Matthew Stafford. Nobody cares about that anymore because they have a Lombardi trophy to prove that, right? So maybe they believe Trent McDuffie is that guy who could take them over the top in a way, right? Because like we said,
Mhm.
they didn't really need that much, right? Now you have a better cornerback than what they did from their previous group. Maybe if the Rams maybe just solidify their offense in a way, either improve that offensive line or get another pass catcher to complement Puka Nakua and possibly Devontae Adams, then maybe that's enough, right? Because like you said, James, they were just a play away from possibly representing NFC and winning the Super Bowl. So this could be the move that takes them over the top. And also too, we there's clearly still going to do a lot in the draft and in free agency as well. So I feel like this is a great start to it. And like we said, like me personally, with Les Snead, I'm gonna trust him. There's a lot
Hmm.
of niche there, right? So, I feel like this is a great start to it, and then, maybe things could get potentially better for the Rams.
I mean, they addressed the secondary in a big way, regardless of what I just said about his stats and whatnot. He's still an all-pro cornerback. They needed an all-pro cornerback if
An
they were going to
upgrade,
do
an
this.
upgrade.
They got Trent McDuffie. He's a young cat. He's going to
Yep.
do well. He's going to be on a great defense. I still think there's more work to be done, but we'll see in free agency what they do about those players that we mentioned, bringing them back or not, or maybe they even go for a lower totem pole cornerback, or maybe they go swing big again. We don't know, but. Again, we'll be back next week to talk all about that. We wanted to jump back on and talk about this crazy trade. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and we will be back. We are back for Roundtable Rams episode number 9. Joining me once again is Billie Melissa, and now every week moving forward, we have Ricardo Buddy Sandoval. What's up, sir?
How's it going, guys? Really good to be here and happy to join you guys, talk some Rams football.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me and Buddy worked together on the On SI brand for 2 years or so. I can't remember exactly what it was. So he knows a lot about Rams football. Let's just jump right into this thing. There's a whole lot that happened just yesterday. Head coach Sean McVay offered a bunch of updates, as did general manager Les Snead. And there is a lot going on because free agency is right around the corner. We have less than a week until the full free agency does start, but less than that until the tampering period begins on March 9th. One of the biggest topics that is obviously going to be discussed that the Rams need to figure out is a new contract for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford has restructured his contract the last 2 years running, I believe, and now he is in line for another restructure. What's interesting about this that both Les Snead and Sean McVay indicated is that this is going to be a year-to-year deal once again, with the intention that there could be a possibility that Matthew Stafford may play past 2026.
I feel like that makes sense, as long as he is in good condition, he feels like his body can do it, he's not becoming a detriment to the team. I think that's the way that you go forward with a guy like that.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. Obviously Matthew Stafford proven that he has a lot of football left in him. And last season it was kind of weird, right? Because it was more speculation of where is he going to get traded to. Is it going to be the Giants? Is it going to be the Raiders, right? This offseason, it's more so like, all right, Matthew Stafford is definitively our guy. Now it's more of a question of what's that contract going to look like. And honestly, guys, I believe if the Rams went out on top in 2025, Matthew Stafford would have called it.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Me
going off
too.
I said, similar to how Aaron Donald did it, right? This year, I feel like obviously they're going for that Super Bowl run more so now. And if they do win it all in 2026, he'll definitely ride off to the sunset. And then, I feel like those conversations are already being held as well. So if that's the case, if that happens for the Rams, and then he will ride off to the sunset. And if it doesn't, then I feel like he could maybe play up until he's 40 years old. I mean, yeah, like guys, we just saw he won his first MVP,
He's good.
right? He's still really good. So, if they don't get the job done, I think he will play. Will it be with the Rams? That's a different question.
Wow.
Ooh,
A lot to unpack there.
not sure about
Honestly,
that one.
yeah, like I pitched the idea in my article that I wrote about it in the sense of like I think I agree with you, buddy. I think if they would have won, he would have rode off into the sunset, and then Stafford would have been fine with MVP and Super Bowl as his last year. Anybody would be happy to
Yeah.
go out like that. But then that begs the question: if they win again in 2026, the Super Bowl, will he actually walk away, or will he be trying to chase more in that championship window? Because even though they do win a Super Bowl, say they do in 2026 season, does that mean he's going to still want to come back and maybe possibly get another? Because he only has one. So he'll have two. And I'm not saying that, like, obviously, like, he needs to go and get a third one. But the point being, like, this team is so good at its core. They were 4 points away or one play away. Let's say Xavier Smith play away from, going to the Super Bowl. Let's just say that. Will he still want to walk away? I think really, realistically, the only way that he walks away is if the Rams are not competitive at all in 2026.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like, if they don't make the playoffs, I think he's like, nah, I'm good. Like, you guys got it. Go ahead, kind of a thing. That's just my opinion. I don't really know. Like, obviously, we don't know. Like, the idea that he could play for another team in 2027 would be wild. But
Mm.
it also really depends on the contract. I think they're going to give him a contract that's 1 year or possibly 2 years, and that last year can be a void year in case he decides to walk away after 2026. Really interesting. I don't know. Right now, he's going to be making 40 million, I believe it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's 40.
Yeah, so he'll be making 40 million. We don't really know what they're going to raise that price to. Maybe they're going to go up another 20 million. Maybe he'll get 60. Maybe it'll be incentive laden. Maybe it'll be performance accelerators. Like, if you go back to the playoffs, you get 500,000. If you go to the NFC Championship, you get 500,000. If you go to the Super Bowl, you get a million.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. But all we know is that they are going to be restructuring that contract for Matthew Stafford, which, for obvious reasons, they've done it in the last 2 years. He just won MVP, so why wouldn't they?
Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those things where you also do have to think about the future beyond football. How much are you willing to put a detriment to your body going forward? And I think, that's a real thing of knowing when it's time to tap out and when your body physically can't take it anymore. Yeah, I could see him going either way. I think exactly what you said, James, about if he feels they're not competitive next year, then that's pretty much a good sign to just step back and be like, okay, ready to hand the reins off to someone else.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we know the injury issues that he's had the last few seasons, especially, like, in the offseason. Everybody thought he wasn't even going to be able to play because of his herniated disc issue or whatever it was. I think that was exactly what it was. But and he came out and played the best season of his career, which is crazy. So it really also depends on his body. Is his body going to hold up? Obviously players know, especially he's 38. This is going to be his 18th year in the NFL. That's a long time to be playing football, especially for a quarterback. And, Matthew Stafford has taken some big hits, and he's going to continue taking big hits because the division that he plays in, regardless, with that, and then regardless of the other teams that they have to play in addition to that. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of contract they do deliver to him, but he's getting a raise. We know that. We just don't know if it's going to be a 1 year deal, a 2 year deal. They did say it's going to be year to year, but they gave him that 2 year deal last year. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to give him like an Aaron Rodgers type deal. You get one deal, like it's this amount of money, and then potential to pick up maybe an option for 2027.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think anything's on the table regarding that. Clearly, both sides they want to stay together, and also, I mean, like he's 30 years old, and like Tom Brady played till he's 45. I feel like he kind of revolutionized that position, right? So, like in a way, 38 is the new 28 when regarding kind of like the quarterback position. Um, does that apply to Matthew Stafford? We don't know yet, right? Because I mean, Billy made a great point. Yeah, sure, he could have a lot of football left, but like, does he want to go through that maybe another 2 years even, right? So, that's all up for debate. That's all up for question. But there's no doubting his talent, what he still has left on the table. It's all about whether he still wants to keep on doing it. So we're gonna have to
Yeah.
wait and see.
Yeah, and I mean that begs the next question too, is his successor. That's going to be a big topic of conversation ahead of free agency, ahead of the draft. But the Rams are kind of in a weird place with it. Les Snead did talk about they don't have a need to go and get a quarterback just yet, but there are some intriguing options. One of the biggest ones that have been linked to the Rams is Anthony Richardson. I don't know. Maybe that's an option. Anthony Richardson has had a very tough go of his career thus far. The dude's had two major injuries. he was, well, several major injuries if you count the oblique injury, plus the rib injury, plus the ACL joint sprain in his shoulder. That was his rookie season. That shut him down. And then last season, he took himself out. 2024, he took himself out, was benched in favor of Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco went out and played like Joe Flacco, and then they put Richardson back in. So,
Sorry, what does that mean? That's the Super Bowl MVP you're talking about.
yeah, sorry.
Can we put some respect on his name, please?
Hold on. Look, I'll put respect on Joe Flacco, the old Joe Flacco's name all day, but right now, Joe Flacco, come on. Anyway.
Because he doesn't get to play in January anymore. That's January Joe right there.
Yeah, okay. Well, sorry for the disrespect of Joe Flacco. But the point being is Anthony Richardson just hasn't really had he's had a really tough career. And then in 2025, he got beat out by Daniel Jones, who, as everybody saw, Daniel Jones was incredible until he suffered a ACL tear as well. But the point being, Richardson is going to be traded by the Colts. It's already been established. They think both parties going to move on. But does he make sense for the Rams?
For me, I don't see why not. I think sometimes, and we've said this about other quarterbacks before, is sometimes you just get behind a great quarterback and you learn from that and you come up. And we've seen that happen across the league, and people do just end up in different schemes with different coordinators. They just get better. And so, what really is it going to be a cost to them? I think that's more the question is what is going to get taken away from the Rams by gaining Anthony Richardson?
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, yeah, like James obviously stated, like Anthony Richardson's had a tough go in the NFL so far, but I feel like it's also situational as well, right? I mean, you're only as good as where you end up, right? I mean, yeah, Daniel Jones had a tough stretch. He landed in Indianapolis. It happened to work for him. That's not the case with Anthony Richardson, right? A new change of scenery needs to happen for him. And maybe that spot is LA. I mean, you have Sean McVay, who's kind of like this quarterback wizard, right? And then if they were to trade for him or whatever the case may be, Anthony Richardson is behind literally the NFL MVP, right? So who knows what could happen for his success. I think I'm still kind of an Anthony Richardson believer in a way. I mean, I like his raw talent. I like his intangibles and whatnot. A lot of people have thrown him to the side of the road. I'm still like, I feel like, in a new situation, not only a new situation, but the right situation, I feel like could really benefit Anthony Richardson. And maybe we could okay, this is why this guy got picked number 4 overall. This is a talent that the Indianapolis coach saw, although he only started 13 games. No, I think like 13 or 14 games in college. There's a little something there, and maybe Sean McVay is that guy, right? We've seen it time and time again. And also, too, I mean, I know we're going to get to it later on, but little caveat here, like the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, right? Like maybe if he's gone, maybe that would be a perfect way to introduce Anthony Richardson, and he could potentially be the starting quarterback in 2027, right? Because with the Matthew Stafford thing we just talked about. So, I feel like that's a safe gamble for the Rams. And it could work out. We'll see. Hopefully, we're able to see that. I would be on board with that. But there's still a lot of NFL offseason's barely gonna get underway. Who knows what's gonna happen? So we'll see on that front.
Yeah. And I think you do make a good point. And there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to kind of consider in this situation. Anthony Richardson, that doesn't mean that he's had a rough go, but that doesn't mean that he can't be good elsewhere. And he does have Sean McVay. He does now have Cliff Kingsbury. He has Nathan Shieldhouse. They're loaded with coaching talent that could get the best out of anybody, not even just Anthony Richardson. Whoever happens to come over, I don't think that the Rams should be in a panic mode situation to go and get Anthony Richardson unless they can get him for like a 4th or 5th rounder. Then of course you would go and do that. Like everybody and anybody would probably want to do that because it's a low risk, high reward type of situation. Like he could end up being really good. But the Rams have also been tied to another player that may or may not happen. They have the number 13 overall pick right now in the draft, and they continue to be mentioned alongside Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. So, we've talked about this before, Billy, multiple times. But what's interesting is he appeared to kind of do really well at the combine. People are talking about him now, talking about him a lot more. Todd McShay joined the Kay Adams show and basically said that his 9 games were better on tape than Fernando Mendoza's were. I don't know what you want to say about that or you want to take from that, but all I know is that a lot of people are more high up on him after his combine performance. He did have some crazy deep throws that were on point and he looked really good. But again, we'll bring this up again because I know me and Billy have talked about it. Is Ty Simpson worth that number 13 overall pick?
You know my thoughts. I think it for me it is that specific thing is he worth the 13th round? When you need a good cornerback, are you willing to like let that fall out of your hands? I don't know. I agree that maybe he goes the same way with Anthony Richardson. He goes behind Matthew Stafford and he just elevates and he just gets better and better and better and better. But is he worth the 13th pick when you need that cornerback? And he's right there and then he falls out and then you get to whatever it is, what 29th pick, I think, for them.
Yeah.
And then who you got left? Sure, I imagine there'll be some great choices for them to take, but yeah, I don't know. I remain on the fence about this.
Yeah, that would be tough. Is he worth a 13th overall pick? I would say no, just because the Rams have a lot more pressing needs,
Yeah.
like cornerback. Like maybe even I would choose an offensive tackle over a quarterback at this time. Yes, you know what too. Also, too, if they were to get Ty Simpson, no kind, just a little bit, kind of remind me of the Falcons situation when they went Michael Penix Jr. in
Mhm.
a way, because obviously, like we talked about, Matthew Stafford still is has a lot of football left, a lot of great football left. But in a way, it'll be like, okay, why are you selecting a quarterback who clearly is still kind of good? Obviously, very different from the Kirk Cousins situation, right? But just in that way, like, okay, like you have a lot of more pressing needs. Why are you selecting a quarterback with your first of your set of your two first round picks? It would just be kind of weird. I would get it in a way, but it would be a little weird. Like I said, a lot more pressing issues. Ty Simpson honestly never really impressed me in a way. There's a reason why there would be that 12 player gap from Fernando Mendoza to him in the
Mhm.
draft, right? Like the Arizona Cardinals have the number 3 overall pick, the Jets have the second overall pick. If he was that
The Browns have the 6th overall pick as well.
And they
uh,
love to stack those quarterbacks over there in Cleveland.
exactly, so like if he was really that good, why would those 11 teams, 11, 12
Yeah.
teams pass up on him,
Like
right? I feel
two
like
teams passed up on Lamar Jackson, just saying.
that too, yeah, it's a lot, right? Me also, and I'm not really a big like, oh, he did really good in the combine kind of thing, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna draft him. We all know the Jets did that with Zach Wilson, and I was just like, why? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, I'm not really a Ty Simpson guy. B, doing it in the combine, he clearly has a lot of tape in college. Why are you going to be that impressed in the combine? So yeah, I'm just not that big on Ty Simpson, and especially selecting the number 13 overall pick when you have a lot more pressing issues as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point too, and I've touched on it, but I'll bring it up again. Les Snead in his press conference yesterday was talking about how he was asked if the Rams have a need for quarterback, and he said no, they're not in a rush to do that right now, which they shouldn't be because again, like you just said, Matthew Stafford still has a lot of great football left. He's gonna play this season, so why go get somebody? The only way I see this going is if they were to get somebody, maybe a Carson Beck or a Drew Aller. The only reason why I see them getting any one of those guys and not Ty Simpson is if Jimmy Garoppolo does not come back. So Jimmy Garoppolo is arguably the best backup in the league, arguably. But the problem is because he's so good as a backup, which is funny to say, the Arizona Cardinals might give him a contract to be the starter, and or the Miami Dolphins might do the same thing. Both of those teams have been mentioned with Garoppolo. If you lose Garoppolo, you lose that insurance because you have Stetson Bennett, but that's the only other quarterback on the roster right now. And Bennett ain't, he's not that great. He's a practice squad guy. He's not really a backup, a reliable backup. So the only way that I see that the Rams would go and pick a quarterback. I keep saying quarterback and quarterback, passer, signal caller, is because they would need somebody with Garoppolo leaving. And then, of course, you're not in a rush, though. I don't think it's going to be Ty Simpson. I don't. I think that would be a panic move if they did it. Absolutely. I think what's more likely, we're going to bring more of this up, with the draft strategy a little bit later in this episode. But my opinion is I think they're going to try to do what they did in 2025 for 2026 is by trading down and stacking another first round pick for 2027. Because then you have a chance to go get Dante Moore. Then you have a chance to go get Arch Manning. You have a chance to go get one of these better quarterback prospects that are obviously going to be the more highly touted and could be that Matthew Stafford successor. Even if they don't get to sit behind Matthew Stafford, you still have that infrastructure there for you to be good.
100% agree.
No, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like a quarterback position, obviously very vital. Matthew Stafford's future is kind of up in the air past 2026, you know. So yeah, definitely. If I were to rank the needs, I would say maybe quarterback number four. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you do need that backup quarterback because you just don't know with Matthew Stafford. The injury history is still there, right?
Yeah,
So it's like if it's not Jimmy G, then I wouldn't hate it if they were to get a quarterback later in the rounds as well.
yeah,
Using it at number 13, not a big fan of that, but definitely quarterback later in the rounds, I'll completely be fine with that. Or if they even happen to sign another free agent, right?
yeah.
Like possibly maybe even
Tua, possibly maybe Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler
There's a
Murray
lot
and Kyler Murray.
there's a lot of connections there with Kyler Murray, right? Cliff
Yep,
Kingsbury was there. I
yep.
mean, Cliff Kingsbury literally said Kyler Murray or nothing with the first overall pick, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of connections there. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah,
Speaking of that, speaking of free agency, again, there's a lot of that's going on ahead of free agency, which starts early next week. One of the biggest things right now is so when everything the season wrapped up, McVay and Les Snead gave an update on Rob Hammerstein, and then also for Tyler Higbee, saying that they were going to take some time to decide if they were going to keep playing. We did receive a Tyler Higbee update, and the update is that there's no update, and basically he has not decided yet if he's going to keep playing. So I don't really think this is that big of a deal. Don't get me wrong, Tyler Higbee, when he finally came back from being injured last year, he came alive and he was doing really well. But I think the Rams are so stacked in the tight end room. You got Colby Parkinson, you got Terrence Ferguson. I don't really think you need a Tyler Higbee. If he decides to walk away, I think you're fine.
Keep him around for that final ride. Let him go on that ride with Stafford.
sure.
Go out a Super Bowl champion, if he wants to. But it seems like he's assessing the situation and if he thinks that he's the best fit and if it's right for his body. And, I agree with you. Do they need? No, but it's a nice story.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good for him to come back just for a little bit. One last potential season with Matthew Stafford. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah, it's the story this season, going into this is Matthew Stafford making that bold declaration at the NFL honors and coming back unexpectedly. And I think that is just, and that's how every team wants their season to end like that, but the Rams were this close. And I think that is their narrative going into this. So yeah, I like Higbee being part of that story.
No, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, obviously injuries have plagued him for in the past couple seasons. He only played 13 games in the past two seasons. But yeah, Tyler Higbee is obviously a staple, has been a staple for the Rams in the past 10 years. Been there throughout the entire Sean McVay era. Got here the first year when they moved back to LA. So Tyler Higbee definitely has been through the highs, the lows. But yeah, like, do they need him? No. Obviously, like Kobe Parkinson he established himself as like tight end one in a way, at least like the touchdown machine. You
Yeah,
know,
you got like six touchdowns, like
yeah, it was
some
crazy.
crazy amount, like really quick. We're like, what the hell?
Go through a crazy stretch, and then like they didn't use Terrence Ferguson as much, which is kind of weird. That was their first pick from last year's draft. I thought he would be used more, but clearly he has the talent. And then you have Davis Allen as well, right? I mean, he's another young tight end that they have who they obviously love. They complimented him a lot, especially when we went to 13 personnel. It was really those guys, right? It was Ferguson, Allen, and Parkinson, and that 13 personnel. Tyler Higbee was a little bit here, a little bit there, but obviously it had a lot to do with the injuries. Yeah, I mean, it would kind of suck if he wasn't around for that Matthew Stafford farewell or whatever the case is. But if he comes back, great. If he doesn't, then thank him for all he's done with the Rams. Arguably their best tight end, their greatest tight end of all time in franchise history, right? So, you do him well, and if he decides to go, then yeah, so be it.
Yeah, definitely. More free agent news. The Rams also tendered exclusive rights for three players: wide receiver Xavier Smith, kicker Harrison Mevis, also known as a thicker kicker, and offensive lineman Justin Diedick. So just for people that don't understand, because I also had to look this up because it's very confusing. But basically, when you tender exclusive rights on a free agent, that means you can pay. It's for players who have not had three full seasons in the NFL, and they can be paid the league minimum. They cannot negotiate with any other team, and they have to accept it or they don't play. That's kind of a weird, kind of crappy way of handling contracts, but at the same time, for younger players that are not fully developed or had fully developed seasons, it's very smart. Obviously, I brought him up briefly earlier. We'll talk about him, but Xavier Smith had arguably the most bonehead play you could have in the playoffs, which is he muffed a punt that led to a Seattle Seahawks touchdown. That's not necessarily the reason why they lost, but it definitely didn't help things. So he's young, but he's a good punt returner. He's going to get better. Obviously, you want to see what you got with him. The same thing with Mevis. He was kicking like a champ. He sent the Rams to the NFC Championship game. The dude was on point, and Diedick is a good rotational uh, backup player right now. They could be, seeing what they have with him, so that way he could potentially move into a spot with whoever gets hurt, because the Rams can't seem to not get hurt on the offensive line ever. But I think it was smart for them to do that with all three players.
Yeah, and it puts a fire under those players and says, what can you do for the team? It's not just maybe for a contract in the future with the Rams, but you're setting your name for the rest of the league and show it gives you like an incentive, I guess, to show up. Does it maybe put a sour taste in your mouth? Potentially. Does it have a detriment? Maybe, but I think it gives them something to like work towards and show, as they've all been solid throughout the team, showing that going forward they could be great for other teams too.
Yeah, and it like I said, it's a quick 1 year deal. It's again, it's a low risk, high reward potential situation where you pay in the league minimum, which is peanuts, in the grand scheme of things, and then you see what you have with them. If they end up being really good again in 2026, then you give them a bigger contract.
Do they want to stay with you though for doubting them in the first place? Some
True.
people get pissed off by that.
Yeah, true. But I mean, like you're with the Rams too. That
You're
kind
with
of
the Rams, you're going to the
it's
you
not like
like
you're on
what's the
the
option? Cleveland? No,
yeah,
I'm
it's not like
good.
you're on the Jets or
I'm
anything.
good.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, obviously, like the Rams have established themselves as like a great organization from top to bottom, right? Like Les Snead, Sean McVay, those two guys, have really shown that they could really build a team, build a culture, right? And like in terms of these three moves. The Xavier Smith one on the surface, right? You're like, why would they do that? He potentially cost him a trip to the Super Bowl. But I mean, outside of that, he was a really solid, punt returner, right? I mean, and then obviously like Harrison Mevis goes without saying, right? He potentially, in a way, kind of like saved their kind of wonky special teams, right? I mean,
Yeah,
still it wasn't as crisp towards the end, but it was better, right? And then also too with Justin, yeah, he's a solid backup, right? And like James said, you just never know with offensive line, especially the Rams offensive line, So I mean, honestly, all three moves not mad at it at all. And also too, it goes to show that hey, yeah, the Xavier Smith move was it a bonehead one, yeah, but the Rams are willing to move past that and be like, hey,
yeah.
we recognize the good you did instead of that one bad moment, right? So I think that also just goes to show the type of organization that the Rams are, and they're willing to stick by their players.
Can't
Yeah,
blame one guy. Team
yeah.
sport.
I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
these mistakes happen too. You're a young player. These things will happen, and it's how you bounce back from those things that do happen. We're gonna just jump right into more free agency stuff, and then we'll talk about Les Snead and his draft strategy right after. But basically, um, the Rams still do have a lot of free agents that are potentially going to be going to other teams. And, who are we worried about? For me, obviously, what we've been talking about the past 3, 4, 5 episodes, Billy, is the secondary, which, buddy, all too well, is a huge pain point. The Rams gave up 276 passing yards per game, fourth worst in the league. You cannot do that. Look what happened to the Seahawks. Sam Darnold threw almost 350 yards, three touchdowns. Again, you can't let that happen if you're a championship level caliber team, and they need to fix this. They need to get better secondary. They need to get quarterbacks in there. Even though they have Quentin Lake, you got to strengthen that secondary with more safeties. And so for me right now, the way I see it, the two players that you can't let walk or you shouldn't let walk is cornerback Roger McCreary, and then you got sorry, oh my God, Kam Curl. I think Kam Curl more than anybody for me. That's the thing is like they don't quite need safeties as much. You know what I mean? Like you got you got Cameron Kitchens, you got Quentin Lake, as I just brought up. Even Josh Wallace has shown that he can be pretty damn good at times. But still, I think you keep both those guys.
Yeah, young guys, you want them, and that they could be in your team for a long time, and they've show, among a bad on Ram standard secondary, they've shown that they can show up and that they can show out for those guys. So, I think you keep those younger guys right. It would be different if they were like approaching 30. But they're both 26, I think. So keep them around.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
James. I mean, I'm definitely with you. Like Cam Crow, I think that's their top free agent. Even though he is a safety, even though the Rams need cornerbacks, like Cam Crow, if they were to lose Cam Crow, that would be detrimental. Obviously, we all saw that play um, against the Bears, right? That awesome interception that he just it was just a phenomenal play, and he was phenomenal throughout the entire year as well. Yeah, Cam Crow is definitely up there. For me, honestly, I would say maybe like Kobe Durant.
Yeah, I was thinking this.
You know, I would say he was their best cornerback game in and game out. Obviously, we all saw that game against the Bucks, right? He was also phenomenal in that game, and he was pretty solid throughout the year. Um, but obviously, we know they're gonna really hone in on that either free agency or the draft as well, and improving the cornerback position. But yeah, in terms of like just free agents, yeah, Cam Curl, I think should be at the top of their list for sure. He's great. He's young, and he's clearly proven that he could be a really good safety in the NFL, and I think he could build off of what he did last year into 2026.
yeah. Just real quick to go over his regular season stats here: two interceptions. He had five passes defended, one forced fumble, two sacks, and 122 total tackles, including 73.4 completion percentage and 89.5 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks when he was targeted, and he gave up one touchdown. Obviously, the coverage needs work, but again, he's young, and you get that veteran lockdown corner in there to also help guide the guys. Then you can elevate Cam Curl up even more, especially Quentin Lake was hurt. So, Quentin Lake was out, and you need that team captain in there to guide those younger players. I think Cam Crow, you absolutely keep him. He goes to any other team, he's going to be an incredible safety, as you just said, buddy, for any defense really. So I think he's at the top. But this also leads right into the draft strategy for Les Snead. He gave everybody some insight on that, as we talked about before earlier in the episode. The Rams have two first round picks. I don't think, Billy, I know you don't think, buddy, I know you don't think they're going to use it on Ty Simpson. They absolutely should not. But I don't know necessarily that they're going to use both those first round picks. What's been said, what's been kind of hinted at, is they're going to possibly package one of those first round picks to get a premier player from somebody. And as we know, they need a cornerback. So who could they trade with? What can happen? Leslie did say that they were prepared to package a first round pick into getting a veteran player that's proven. Um, my suggestion that I had brought up was potentially getting Trevon Diggs, but I know that he's older and he's had injury histories, and you don't have to trade for him. You're just going to be able to sign him because he was released. So that's an option. I know it's not the most popular option, but it's an option. But you look at the cornerback market and potential free agents, and who can you go after? In my opinion, you use one of those first round picks on either a cornerback or a wide receiver. You got Puka Nakua. Devontae Adams is getting up there in age. He may or may not play past this season as well, but you can't rely on him and Puka only. We saw what happened when Devontae Adams went down. Then you only got Puka because Tutu Atwell became a $10 million contract waste. He got benched for the final 3 games of the season, including the playoffs. So you need somebody. You need a wide receiver 3, like you need a true wide receiver 2. A matter of fact, to line up against with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, but somebody that they can rely on that's going to go past Devontae Adams. So in my opinion, you take one of those first round picks and you go for a bigger fish.
I agree. When we've said it week in and week out, the Rams are in arguably the best position this offseason. They're the most complete team. They're not massive holes, and if the holes are there, then they still got to the NFC Championship. I think I've seen people chucking around Trent McDuffie associated with the Rams. Why not? Young, good guy, talent. If you don't need those first round picks, Chiefs didn't have the same season that the Rams did. They could definitely use those a lot more. Don't know the future of Travis Kelce. They need to fill that hole if he does decide to retire. I think he'll come back. That's an option.
On that same front, real quick, Jalen Watson from the Chiefs as well, because the Chiefs have like a crazy stacked cornerback room. So either one of those, Trent McDuffie or Jalen Watson, you could probably go get them not even for a first round pick, maybe
They've
second.
got the
third
opposite
rounder.
problem.
Yeah, exactly.
But you want one of these guys, come in, have a look. That's somewhat. I think when you're the Rams and you've got that and you're on the cusp of a Super Bowl, you don't really need those 2 first round picks. They're really great to have, and you can train guys up underneath and definitely take advantage of those. But when you're just there, I think it's great to have a guy that's been around the league that you can kind of bring in and who can do it from week 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely at the point where no matter what the Rams do with their picks, I'm gonna completely be fine with it. Uh, like seriously, like if they were to trade those first 2 round picks for a premier player, whether that is like a player like Max Crosby or like an elite corner,
Hands off. He's coming to Baltimore.
whatever they do, I'm completely fine with it. Obviously, like if they were to use that on a cornerback, on a wide receiver, particularly with that number 13 overall pick, that would be completely fine. Also, too, like Billy, like you said, I'm really big on Trent McDuffie. If they were to sign him as a free agent and they were to use that 13 overall pick, let's say on someone like a Makai Lemon or something like that, I feel like that would be a step in a great direction. I mean, McDuffie's only 25 years old. There's ties there with the Rams. He's from LA, went to St. John Bosco, and also too, the former Washington head coach Jimmy Lake. He's not with the Rams too. He just got promoted to the pass game coordinator, right? So there's some connection there too. And there was a video has been surfacing this week from last year where Trent McDuffie talked about how he not a big Rams fan, but he really liked what the Rams have been doing and whatnot. So there's some ties there. So I think McDuffie plus maybe an elite pass catcher with either number 13 or number 29, most likely number 13. I think that would be a great start to the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Makai Lemon possibly, but then you could even go Vega Ione there and go and get him and bolster that offensive line because you need more competition to be infused in it no matter what. And again, as we've said that, they have injuries all the time, so you want to make sure that Matthew Stafford is protected at all times, especially in his final year. But I agree with you. I think whatever they do is going to be okay as long as they're not taking Ty Simpson at number 13.
Sure.
Flash, what you're going to be using a cut when Ty Simpson goes all the way and wins the Super Bowl.
Hey, that's what you like. That's what predictions are for.
That's what you're there for. You're there to be the guy that fuels the fire under his.
I don't know. Look, we come back to this and we're like, oh my goodness, the Rams should have got Ty Simpson.
Maybe I'm saying this because the Dolphins go and draft him, and all of a sudden he ends up being the best cornerback in the entire draft. I'm just saying, but no, but I, like Buddy brought up earlier, they have way more pressing needs. Secondary needs to be rebuilt, and maybe you keep that Roger McCreary, maybe you keep the Kobe Durant, maybe you keep the Kam Curl, but you still need somebody locked down. As we saw in 2021 with the whole F them picks thing, they went and got Von Miller, they went and got Jalen Ramsey, and they won the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to do the same thing. If they can go and get a premier cornerback like a Trent McDuffie, they're going to go and do that just thing. Or they can go get a wide receiver that's going to push the offense over the mark as well. And then you use that number 29 pick to go get Tennessee's Colton Hood possibly, or another cornerback that can, step in and start. That's what you do. But either way, I think them utilizing the picks and not using the number 13 pick on Ty Simpson, whereas they can use it maybe on Mansour Delane if he drops down number 13.
Yeah.
He's been mocked to the Dolphins. He's been mocked to pretty much everybody. But if he falls, Les Snead is good at talent evaluation, as is that front office. And if somebody premier cornerback wise drops to them, I mean, they've been mocked to Jermon McCoy, but I know I'm a little wary of that guy because of the ACL tear. Who knows what he's going to be like. He's
He's
still
only 20
arguing.
years old too. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
I don't know, but there's a lot more to discuss. We will be back next week to talk all about free agency. We will see what happens. The ninth is when tampering can begin, and conversations about contracts can begin, and then March 11th, those players will be officially signed. We will know who is staying with the Rams, who is going. We will be back for all that next week. Thank you so much, Billy, for joining me once again, and thank you, buddy, for joining us. And we are excited to bring you in week after week to talk all about Rams football. But yeah, we will be back next week, people.